I woke up this morning and realized that I was 18 years old. Like, the sun came up and I realized that I have existed on this earth for about 6,570 days. See, being a woman in this country, my life expectancy has been significantly shortened, and I realized that by the time I'm 19, I'll probably be dead or on the way to dying. So I thought it would be important for me to prepare for my funeral. To audition for the role of corpsee, my funeral won't be like those other funerals. No, this one will put even Princess Diana's to shame. It'll be the greatest funeral there ever was. So great that they'll broadcast it across countries. I mean, the story of my death will be so Twitter worthy that you'll create hashtags that trend for 3 days. My face will be plastered across your statuses. You will call me Angel and tell me to rest in peace. I bet even the president himself will be there. Grace us with his presence. He will hold my mother's hand while she recites my eulogy, while her eyes fill with tears, while she chokes, and afterwards he will get up on that podium and give the best speech he has ever given. So perfectly written, with every word turning my life into a story to be remembered. He will tell you to remember my name, beg you to not forget me, and you will add me to the list of other names that we have had to remember since basically forever. And my body will lie in its casket. Every inch of me covered in bruises, stab wounds made so expertly that you could call it art. I will become the latest backdrop for the Gents Let's Do Better campaign. They will promise to do better, change their DPs to purple, sing Protect Our Women till the cows come home, and I will smile from my grave, my dead lips forming a thank you, cause that's what you want, right, gents? A thank you for trying, thank you for sharing, thank you. My ghost will clap for you. A thank you for giving a shit about my life now that I'm dead or whatever. The way you gave a shit about Riva or Naledi or Evelyn or Tehofatso or the hundreds of other women, right? You give a shit and we die, right? I will form a thank you while I wait for the next body to fall, to come lie next to me, to come keep me company, because I know it won't end with me. See, when my soul leaves this earth, the first person I will see is Nene, and she will smile at me. That soft kind of smile, and Kwasa, she will take my hand and squeeze it just a little bit. Just enough to remind me that I can still feel. I will be the latest addition to Heaven's special welcome committee. Practice my smile, practice my hug, ready to welcome the next girl, ready to tell her it wasn't her fault, that I was also just walking home, that I wore pants too, that I didn't make eye contact. I promise that I did everything they have ever told us to do since I was like 6, but still he raped me, still he beat me, still he killed me. So I will tell her it wasn't her, even if it feels like it. No, my funeral will be the greatest to ever be done. One for the history books. I swear there are 294 days left before I turn 19. 294 more days of waking up with the sun, of breathing in air before a man claims his right to my body or his right to my life. 294 days of being terrified to leave the house, of hugging my mother tight so when I'm gone, she remembers the feel of my arms around her, of pausing at the door to wave goodbye to my dad. Half a see you later and half a goodbye forever, just in case. Just in case this is the last goodbye that I have, the last hug, the last kiss, the last time I get on the bus, the last time they see me as I am now, alive. I don't know if I'll make it to this time next year, or even if I'll make it to the end of this day. See, like every other woman in this country, I'm living on borrowed time, waiting for my turn, for my big debut as victim number 1,000 and something. So Here it is, the audition tape to my funeral. How was that? Was that good enough? Did I get the part, sir? Did I break the little mother in you? Did I look victim enough? See, I was going for this murdered schoolgirl type of vibe, a closed casket type of silence. Cold, like an autopsy of a dead body, cause of death, being woman and alive.
So, hi guys, welcome to your favorite late night sessions with your one and only Bean. Today we're spilling the beans with Tariro Nyamayaro, an artist slash slam poet. Wait, is it slam poet or slam poetress? I'm not
I'm
so
not
sure.
sure actually,
I don't want to give us a male title over here because
Let's go with Sam Poetress then.
okay, slam poetress slash social activist. Welcome to late night sessions.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure. So, social activist, what's your definition of that?
I would say a social activist is just someone who uses their platforms, so
Mm-hmm.
mainly social media platforms, to bring awareness to critical social issues, whether that be
Ah.
gender-based violence or racism, everyday things that people are going through. It's really just using your platform and the space in which you have a following to
Mm.
to send out a positive message and a call to action.
Okay. So, do you want to tell us a bit about yourself, like a bite size into your, you know, about you, into your bio?
Okay, yeah. So I'm Tariro, like you've said. I was born in Zimbabwe, but I live in South Africa. I've
Mm-hmm.
just completed my A levels actually. So yeah, fresh out of high school, and I'm really just a girl in a big world trying to find her voice, I guess. Is is kind of the definition of who I am and what I'm doing, really.
Yeah. So you managed to finish your finals in this uncertain kind of atmosphere with
Oh
Corona and
my word.
everything.
It was so crazy. It was actually just it was a miracle. I think the last day I wrote my last paper, I honestly cried when I put my pen down. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe that it's actually over, that we actually did it." I really do commend everybody who managed to get what they needed to do done because COVID and everything has just been a mess.
It really has.
Mm.
It really has. You are a slam poetress. So that's one really unexplored or rather quiet corner of the entertainment industry.
Mm.
How have you always been a writer? What attracted you to poetry or what attracted you to slam poetry?
Yeah, so I think I've always been a person who's very into the creative arts and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I used to do a lot of speech and drama, public speaking, throughout my whole schooling career, really. So I think poetry was just it. I always tell people like I didn't find poetry, poetry found me, um,
Mm-hmm.
because I think it really found me at a time in my life where there were lots of different personal things that were happening,
mm-hmm.
that I didn't really know how to express or how to get out there, and I think people will be very shocked to know, I think, that I'm a very reserved person actually in real life. Yes, I'm an extrovert. I am an extrovert. Yes, I like to talk. I talk to people, but when it comes to talking about my feelings and what I'm going through, that's always been something that I really struggle with.
Yeah.
Um, so one day I was just like scrolling through YouTube and I found this page on YouTube called Button Poetry,
Mm-hmm.
and I watched like one video of this girl, Mia, and she did a poem called Perfect. And I just remember sitting there in my room, like crying, like, oh my gosh, how can someone just understand me? Like I just felt like I don't know who this girl is. I mean, she probably lives in the middle of America somewhere, I don't know. But her words just touched me so deeply, and that's when
Mm-hmm.
I started like exploring how to put my own stories um onto paper, but not more than that, how to perform them in a way where someone else would be watching me, and go, oh my gosh, how did
Yeah.
you understand me? You know what I mean?
Mm.
So that's kind of how that whole journey began. And I started doing little videos. I was in boarding school, and I'd do little videos after dinner and stuff and post them onto my YouTube and stuff. And it was never really like I was trying to make a career out of it or anything. But it was just like, exploring these things. And then over time, it grew into something that I could use in conjunction with my activism,
Yeah.
to actually use my poems not only to express my personal feelings, but also to highlight issues that are happening in the world. And I feel like that's something that's never really been explored before.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not really an avenue that poetry has taken before. But I
True.
think any form of words, I mean, be it music, poetry, it all stems from a place of wanting to express. And I
Mm.
didn't want my poetry just to be about expressing. I wanted to be about expressing, but also calling for people to stand up and do something, you know. So
Yeah.
I think that's just, yeah, that's my journey with poetry, and that's where we are now.
I mean, you managed to pull it off. I mean, what you were describing, what you went through with Mia's work, that's what I went through when I first saw your piece on auditioning for my funeral.
Oh, thank you so much. That means so
And
much.
I was like, wow, okay, okay. And I
Yeah.
listened to it. It was so emotional and so raw. And I know it went viral. It touched many lives, I'm pretty sure.
Mm.
And it did open eyes to the femicide and gender-based violence happening in South Africa and around the world.
Mm.
And I guess it goes without saying that in order to work on such a topic, you have to be a person who's comfortable with making yourself vulnerable and, being really raw and open.
Yeah.
Have you ever felt too exposed or like hesitated about covering any particular topics?
Yes. I think I'm a very passionate person,
Mm.
and I like to get to the point, and I like to be direct in my work. I mean, if you watch any of my poems, I think, yes, there's nuances and subtlety in my writing, but
Mm.
there's no hiding from what I'm speaking about. Like you feel it, you hurt with it, you know. And I
There's no riddles. We're not beating
yeah,
around
I'm not
bushes.
beating around the bush. I mean, when
Yeah.
you from start to finish of a poem that I posted, um, you feel exactly what it is that I'm talking about. And I think that's always been a bit of a difficult thing for me to know how to sort of pull myself back a bit when I write about certain topics,
Mm.
or like, trying to find that balance of, have I said too much? Am I exposing myself to too much criticism? Am I putting myself in a position where I can be attacked? Because honestly, the internet is a scary place. It
It
is a
is. It is.
scary
You
place.
can be
And
saying the right thing,
you
the
know
truth, but you're still gonna get
but you're still
all
gonna get
different kind of
backlash.
reactions.
Exactly. And
You'll
like,
be dragged.
exactly. And like, with this journey of like starting to put myself, I mean, obviously I used to post on YouTube and stuff, but like coming onto a platform like Instagram, where there's millions and millions and millions of people who could, you know see my stuff,
Mm.
and like, um now be exposed to the sort of things that I'm talking about. It's been a sort of question of, okay, I don't want to limit my creativity, but at the same time, there's some things that I have to think about, like, how am I going to speak about this in a way that doesn't end up, you know
Yeah, need to tread carefully.
yeah, I mean, with auditioning to my funeral, I got lots of DMs of boys like telling me how I didn't know what I was talking about, and what South African men are not
Yeah.
like this, and they'll come and fix me, and what like these like pure attacks, you know what I mean? And
Mm.
it was scary, yes, but at the same time, I was like, if that's the reaction that I'm getting, I'm saying something that needs to be said. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're touching a
I'm
nerve.
touching. If you can watch auditioning to my funeral and react in that way, then you are part of the problem. You know
True.
yourself. You know what
True.
you've been doing.
You're feeling
You're
attacked
feeling
because
attacked because
we're asking you for
exactly,
accountability.
I'm asking you to take accountability for how you are making my life in this country difficult, how you're making the lives of every girl in this country difficult. And if you watch that poem and you go, oh, why is she attacking us? You are part of the problem. Because a normal person who is wanting change listens to that poem and goes, geez, is that what
I
girls and
didn't
women
know
are really going
I
through?
was maybe
You know,
subconsciously
exactly.
doing
Like,
this, and you want to change.
exactly. Like, you'd be like, oh my gosh, that I do that. I also just tweet and then I keep quiet. Is that not what I'm supposed to be doing? And then if you don't know what you are supposed to be doing, you come and you ask, okay, Terry, I listened to your poem. What am I supposed to be doing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the sort of reaction you're supposed to get. So yeah, to answer your question, there have been times where I'm like, maybe I'm taking on more than I can handle. But I feel like if I'm not going to do it, who will? You know? And that's the question I kind of ask myself before I post a poem or before I write or anything. It's like, okay, I'm writing something that's heavy. I'm exposing myself to a lot. I'm putting myself out there in the most vulnerable and purest way I can.
Yeah.
And not everyone is going to appreciate that. But if I don't do it, who will do it?
Who's gonna do it? Yeah.
And then I get DMs of girls going like, wow, Terry, I cried when I watched your poem. I didn't know what I was feeling until you said what I was feeling. Thank you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that makes me happy, and that makes me go on to the next one, because that's who I'm doing it for. I'm doing it for girls and women and people who are affected by the topics I talk about, to know that they're not alone, that they're not going through something by themselves, that I understand, that, but more than that I understand, but that there are so many other girls who understand. We know what you feel like. And I think that that's just an important message that needs to be carried on.
Yeah. Thank you so much, first of all, on behalf of everyone.
No, thank you.
I really appreciate the work that you're
No,
doing.
thank you so much. You're welcome.
I really do.
Thank you.
So, what do you think, in your own opinion, is the root cause of all these gender-based violence crimes that are going on? The raping, the domestic abuse, the femicides. What do you think is the main cause?
I really feel like it's just our culture. It's our culture of patriarchy and these years of having put women down for so long, that is just now starting to erupt in the most painful and most violent way it can, you know. Because
Especially now that women are now speaking out against it.
exactly. Now that there is less submissiveness and more rebellion, the ugliness starts to come out, you know.
Yeah.
The ugliness of the system of patriarchy and this perpetuated rape culture starts to show, you know. And I think that's something that people need to understand, is that gender-based violence and sexism and femicide, they aren't a 2018 problem when cases started to spike, you know.
Yeah.
It's been a problem since the beginning of time, when men were the head of the household and women were supposed to just cook and clean. That was the starting point. But it didn't erupt yet because women didn't know any better, you know. Now that women are starting to learn, women are getting educated, women are going to school, they're reading, they're writing, they're exposed to a world they never were exposed to before, and can now tell, like, I don't need to take this from you, you know?
And there's more women that they can also look up
Exactly.
to
And
and
there's
say,
more women.
well, she's speaking out about it.
Exactly. And there's more women who are standing up and saying, listen, you don't need to take this. You don't need to. You don't, you know, that those sort of patterns is now what men are trying to now, you know, squash, and literally physically squash, you know. I think another thing would be the sense of entitlement that men have. Especially if we're talking in an African context, the entitlement that men have, like, my way or the highway. what I say goes. When I say this happens, which also stems from this generational patriarchy that's been going on for so long. Is another thing, because now when men are like, when a woman says no, a man's like, you can't say no to me, you know.
Yeah.
And that's a psychological, that's something psychological that's been ingrained into men for
And it's been passed on
generations.
from
It's been
generation to
there for
generation. Yeah.
centuries. So you cannot fix the problem by addressing 2019. You know, you cannot
We need to
fix,
go way
exactly, you
back.
cannot fix the problem by talking about last week, you know, because it's not a last week problem. It's been an issue from the beginning. You need to go back to the sources where you were at first discriminating against women. Now start making it equal. Those are education systems. Those are, you know, family dynamics. Those are social interactions. Those are the expectations that you give to men and to women. Those are how you, as people, as a society, are teaching young girls and women to behave, are teaching young boys and men to behave. That's where you go back to start. Because saying sorry about last week, that's not going to do anything, because next week there will be another body.
Yeah.
Because there's been bodies for 200 years, you know? So
True.
I think that's it's a more complex issue than just what is causing gender-based violence, because there's a whole lot of things that are causing gender-based violence. And gender-based violence, I think people need to understand, is not the thing itself, it's the byproduct of the thing,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And that thing is this institution.
Probably have experienced it as a kid, and
Exactly.
having grown up in that environment,
Exactly.
they also fall victim to it, or they also become the perpetrator because they think that's the way you treat
Women, and
other
that's how
people.
you do, and this is how it happens, because that's what grandpa did, and that's what great grand, and this is, and that, you know what I mean. Gender-based violence is not the thing. It's the byproduct of a bigger issue. So to stop gender-based
True.
violence, you go to the source. What is gender-based violence coming out of? That's where you go look. If you are a people who really wants to find solutions, and who isn't just doing, and this is what I've said, about governments and, you know, our world leaders. If they were people who really are serious about trying to find solutions to gender-based violence, they would be going back to their institutions, back to their ways of educating people, back to the social dynamics, back to how they're portraying women in media, and etc., etc. Not just to go to women and say, oh my gosh, we're so sorry, here's 16 days of activism, you know?
Yeah.
Not to say, oh my gosh, we apologize for what's been going on, we stand with you, and you give us a campaign video, and that's it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, most of these records might be very misleading because most of the offenses are not even
Exactly.
reported to
They
the
aren't.
police.
And that's the scariest part, because we're saying there's a scourge in gender-based violence because of how many people are reporting it. But think of the
Yeah.
millions of people who are keeping quiet. All it shows is that there are millions of people who are now speaking out, but there's double that amount who are still keeping quiet. So
True.
you can't be like, oh my gosh, there's 16,000 cases, because no, not everybody will report it. Because if we're being honest with ourselves, we don't really have systems that support women for reporting. Not even women,
Yeah.
that support anyone who experiences gender-based violence. We don't have sensitive systems where you can be a victim and be helped. We only have systems where you'll be a victim and ridiculed and shamed and beaten
True.
down more than you already are, until you're at the point where you're like, you know what? Never mind.
Never mind. Never mind. That's true, because that was also going to be my next question. Why do you think people don't report? Because most of the time when we talk about these gender-based violence crimes, people want to come out and say, yeah, but why are you only reporting now? Or I don't know, if you're a man and you've been raped or domestically abused, if you come out as like you're ridiculed and you're made to feel like less of a man,
They just aren't,
like all
there
these
aren't
things.
safe places for people to report. There
Yeah.
aren't safe places. And we just aren't a compassionate society. We aren't a society that wants to love. If we're being honest, we're not a society that wants to show love. Not not well, not love that takes effort anyway. We're okay with the hashtagging and the sharing and the reposting. But the actual physical stuff, it's difficult for us because we want
Yeah.
to first find every single reason why she's lying, every single reason she was there at night, every single reason why she chose that dress, why she was in the
I
club
think people don't
alone.
understand the concept of
You
victim
know, like
blaming.
we find all of
That
those
those kind of
things.
questions,
Exactly. They make a victim go, was it me?
I shouldn't have said
You know?
anything.
And they go,
Maybe it was
exactly.
me. Yeah.
Because now we're like, why were you there at night? Why were you walking alone? You know better. Why were
Why were
you
you
wearing
wearing
that skirt?
that?
Oh, what was he expected to do? You were tempting him because you were flaunting it. Like, and you just sit there and you think, what messed up kind of society do we live in? Where a girl walks into a police station and says, I was raped. And the next question is, where were you and what were you wearing? Like, how messed up. Because if someone
Yeah.
gets shot and they come into a hospital room and they're like, someone shot, treat the wound. You get them into surgery. You
You
take them to
don't questions
emergency care.
later. Yeah.
You open a police report. 3 weeks later, what happened? Where were you? When you've already got suspects, because now you're trying to close a case. Then you go and ask them, okay, what happened? What did these people do? But when it's someone who's been raped and sexually assaulted, the evidence gathering and the protecting of the person comes after you've established that it wasn't their
Yeah.
fault. I don't think it's right.
And then there's the whole corrupt system where someone can go scot-free because of the influence
Exactly.
that
And
they
someone can
have.
just make a DNA report disappear. Or even make it not get taken in the first place because half our hospitals don't have working rape kits. We don't have people who
Yeah.
collect proper
Yeah.
evidence in the first place for these crimes. And then on top of that, you have corruption where anyone can just make anything disappear. It is literally the worst environment for someone to go through something like this. And then on top of that, when that person becomes brave enough to say, I was wronged, I was hurt, I need to speak out and I need to tell my story, the first thing we do is say, ugh, why are you talking about this now? It's late.
Yeah.
You know?
It happened 10
Exactly.
years
Why are
ago.
you
Why are
talking
you
about this
deciding to
now?
come
It's
out
late.
now?
It's tragic, really. It's sad.
Yeah. We forget that even if they're not going to get physical justice on the case, coming out
May
may
heal
just
you.
be a way of
Exactly.
healing
Telling your
and
story.
letting go.
Telling your story and having,
Yeah.
it's not even about having people comment or having people agree. It's about being brave enough to say, someone violated me. I think people don't understand how deep of a violation a sexual assault is. And for someone to stand there and say, I was violated in the most violent, most dehumanizing, most painful way by this man, it takes everything in you. Literally, it takes every single ounce of strength and dignity you have left to stand up and say, I was a victim of rape. I was a victim of sexual assault. It happened and I survived. You know, that's a difficult thing to do. And it's not about what you
True.
hear from people. It's not about people saying, oh my gosh, girl, we're here for you. It's about the fact that you were brave enough to go out and say it, you know? And I think people don't understand that because that's a form of healing on its own. That's a form of healing on its own. Just being able to get out of your head, get out of those voices in your head that constantly make you feel worthless, to silence
Yeah.
those voices and say, listen, it happened to me. but it's not me. You know, that's a thing of pure healing. And I think people underestimate that. And I think if they really understood how deep and profound that is, I think we'd all be a little bit kinder to people who come out and tell their stories.
True. So you recently released your single "Last Goodbye." Do you want to share maybe with us a bit more about it and how the journey and experience of penning all that and sharing
so that
with us
it was actually so crazy. When Audition Tape to My Funeral went viral, I was actually on my way to a holiday in Cape Town. So Audition Tape to My Funeral came out, and we were like traveling and stuff. And I think it was the first night we were in Cape Town. Like, I looked at my phone and I had like 600,000 views or something, and I was like, "What is going on?"
Whoa!
I was like, "What?"
Like, I normally just do my small videos
like,
and
600,000. I'm like looking, and I was like, "What?" And I had like 18,000 something followers. I was like, "What is going on?" So yeah, like that first night was just surreal. It was just like a bunch of freaking out, like, oh my gosh, wow, this is actually happening. And then the next day I got a call from Dave Peenhill from Sony. And I was eating breakfast, and he phones, and I answer, and he's like, "Oh, hi Terry, this is Dave from Sony." And I was like, "What?" I was like, "Dave from where?"
Who?
And he's like, "From Sony." And I was like, Sony?" And he's like, "Yeah, like Sony Entertainment." And I was like, "As in Sony? Like that Sony?" I'm like, maybe there's another Sony I don't know about.
Like, this is the prank.
And I even put like the thingy on speaker. And I'm like sitting with my family over breakfast, and I'm like, "Are you people hearing this?" And he's like, "Yeah, Sony." And I'm like, "Okay, hi Dave." And then he's like, "Yeah, so I heard your poem on 702. Basitsana Kumalo shared it," because I remember the night before, actually, Basitsana Kumalo had called me, which was also, I was like, "What?"
Out of this world.
Like, she has my number. Like, what? So she had asked if they could if she could share it on the Clement show on 702. So I was like, "Yeah, sure, no problem." I'm traveling to Cape Town, so I wouldn't even have like reception because we were driving. So I was like, I wouldn't even have reception and anything. But like, you'll let me know how the show goes. So I didn't I wasn't listening when she did the thing, when she read my poem. So anyway, the next day, Dave's like, "Yeah, I heard your poem on 702, and my wife, she was in tears, and she called me, and I was at work, and she's like, you need to get in contact with this girl, and you guys need to do something." I was like, "Okay, so do something like what?" And he's like, "I'm thinking we should make a song." And I'm like a song with Sony? And he's like, "Yeah, like a song. Would you be into that?" I'm like, yes. Like, no big deal or anything, sure. Yeah, so then, the creative process was just amazing. I got to work with some brilliant people, and Linda Lee, who did the vocals, because I really wanted my voice to stay as part of the poetry aspect of the poem. So finding someone to do the vocals, but someone who would still be able to carry the same sort of passion I had in the poem and the song, it was a bit like, trying to find, when you're trying to find that perfect Cinderella shoe fit, you just have to go through a bunch of pumpkins before you get to the one. But then when we found Linda, it was just like, yes, that's it. That's the one. So she did the vocals, and it was just beautiful. So then, yeah, Sony published it and everything, and then a couple of days after that, actually, they then offered me a contract to to actually work with Sony for the next 3 years, producing more lyrics for them. So yeah, I'm currently on the way to working on my EP, and after that, an album.
Yes, girl.
So
We'll be
yes, you guys can
waiting.
stay tuned for that.
We're looking forward
I
to
will
it.
definitely let you know when it happens.
Yes, please. Yes, please. So, 2020 has been, I don't know how to describe it, but how would you describe 2020, and how has it been for you? What have been some of your highlights, and for you and your studies and your craft?
I think 2020 has been a difficult year. it's been such a tough year,
Yeah.
but I think it's also been a year of so much growth. I think because we were all put in such difficult positions where we had no choice but to evolve, you know. So I
Yeah.
think as painful and as difficult and as jarring as it has been, it's also been a year of profound growth. Especially in my life, I think I I was made to lose direction in the first half of the year, because everything shut down. And I was like, am I going to finish school? Am I going to varsity? Like, what's going on? And
Yeah.
like, it was just this time of uncertainty and like trying to like, realign your plans. Because I think the last year of school is it's an already bumpy year because you're thinking, where am I
Yeah.
ending up? And
And
then
then
you
you
keep
add
back
on
in, you
more
add
pressure.
on no more like online exams and online school. You can't see anything, you can't hear anything. It's just like I'm actually just gonna fail. Like
It's
I don't know how many times I cried this year. I was like, I'm not passing. It's not happening. Like I'm going through it. But then I think also just the
mm,
ability to survive that and just carry on pushing. And as problems started arising, we just sort of adjusted and like went with what we had, to get to the finish line. I think
mm,
that's also just built my character, and I'm sure the characters of many people who went through a similar experience, because I realized that I had a plan when January came. you know I, in my head, everything from January
mm,
to December was mapped out. I knew exactly where I wanted to go in 2021. I knew my plans and everything. But then, so many things just came at me. Um, and so many opportunities I never thought would have happened. I mean, when January started, I was not thinking about signing with Sony. When January came, I wasn't
yeah.
even thinking about writing a poem that would go viral. You know what I mean? But then certain
Mm,
things happened that led me in that path. And even though Corona has been painful and difficult to go through, it's also created an environment where my plans have had to adjust, and as much as at first
yeah.
I was nervous about that, now I'm really excited because some of the things that are now happening in my life and that I'm looking forward to happening wouldn't have happened if I had stuck to my original plan. So I think
True.
that it's been a blessing and a curse at the end of the day. Yeah.
Awesome stuff. I'm
Thank
really excited for
you.
you. Like, doors are opening
Yeah.
and we're looking
Thank
forward
you
to
so
the new
much. No, thank
content.
you.
So, what's your current media diet? What are you listening to? What are you reading?
So I
What
just
are you
finished
watching?
Becoming Michelle Obama. That was my last read because
Mm-hmm.
I had some time after we finished writing. And I mean, who doesn't love
Yeah.
Michelle? Um, who doesn't love Michelle? So
True.
yeah, that was a great book. And then currently I'm listening to everything. Um, I think because I have so much free time. I think people don't understand. If anyone listening has gone through Cambridge A levels, like your life
Oh, yes, I
just
understand
stops. Like you
you.
do not have a life. Like you have
You just
like
have a
no
gap.
life for like 2 years, and then November comes and it's just like life. And you're like, what do I even do with all this time? You know,
Life is
like
just packed
now,
into
like from
one little
November to
thing.
January, you're just here like, oh, I don't have like anything to do. Like
What do I do with
wow, like
myself?
okay, now what? So it's just mostly Netflix. I watch Netflix. I think which I finished Titans. That was the last Netflix show I finished. And yeah, I'm just
Mm.
sort of living life, man. I'm just living life.
Yeah, hey. I wish you all the best on your contract, on everything that you're going to be working on.
No, thank you
And
so much.
yeah, I wish you all the best on
Oh
waiting for
yes,
your
the
exams too.
results. It
I mean,
is.
it's
It is.
nerve-wracking, but
I
yeah,
hope
I'm
so.
pretty sure you
But
did
thank you
well.
very much.
It's been a
Thank you so much for
pleasure
having
having you
me.
on the
It's been lovely.
show.
Thank you.
That was Tariro Nyamayaro on her journey with poetry and the fresh journey with music. I hope you guys enjoyed that deep but necessary chat that we just had. The poem at the beginning of the conversation is Auditioning for My Funeral, and I'm leaving you guys with Last Goodbye by Tari featuring Linda Lizwani. Enjoy, stay blessed, have a lovely remainder of the week from your girl Bean with the biggest love.
I woke up this morning, 18 years old, and realized that soon I'd be dead. Cause of my death, being a woman or alive, you call me an angel, rest in peace. Because I know it won't end with me when my soul leaves this earth. Ready to welcome the next girl, ready to tell her it wasn't her fault. When I see Nene, she'll smile at me, that soft kind of smile, that soft kind of smile, just in case this is the last goodbye, just in case this is the last goodbye.
Being a woman in this country, my life expectancy has been significantly shortened, and I realize that by the time I'm 19, I'll probably be dead or on the way to dying. So I thought it would be important for me to prepare for my funeral.
Don't know if I'll make it to this time next year, or even the end of this day. My lips will say thank you, cause that's what you want, while I wait for the next body to fall. So here it is, my audition tape. Is that good enough? When I see Kwasa, she'll smile at me, that soft kind of smile, that soft kind of smile, just in case this is the last goodbye, just in case this is the last
Cause of death, being woman and alive.